This is a Kirkendall Barrett presentation. Well, hello everybody, it is your favorite day of the week. It is time for another episode of the Reality Reading Rainbow, where I talk about books by reality stars, especially those from Bravo. I also do interviews. I am your host, Les Kirkendall Barrett. Hello readers, how are you? So in today's episode, we have a two-parter. I talk about the first few chapters of Shep's book, Average Expectations. And yes, I have opinions. So that's going to be the first half of the podcast. In the second half of the podcast, I interview Andrew from Andrew's Lifestyle. Andrew is a regular guest on the show. He has his own YouTube channel. And also, I moderate a clubhouse room with Andrew. Not only Andrew, but our other moderator, Jessica Riley. We moderate a room on Clubhouse called the Bravo Detective Agency, where we do deep dives into our favorite Bravo celebrities. By the way, that is on Wednesdays, 5 p.m. West Coast time, 8 p.m. East Coast time. And I always love having Andrew on the show because he's entertaining, he has great tea, or as I like to describe Andrew, I describe him as the Doogie Howser of tea. So sit back and enjoy the podcast. By the way, before I go, a couple of housekeeping things. I now have a Patreon. You can go to Patreon, and the Patreon is the Reality Reading Rainbow. There are plenty of levels. There are plenty of tiers that start at $3 a month and up. And with it, you get perks. You get bonus episodes. You get to be a part of the book club, which I'm starting up again. There's a lot of good stuff. So if you could spare a couple of bucks, great. If you can't, I get it. We're all going through some things right now. And I would rather have you just listen to the podcast because your presence is my present. I also have started a Facebook page, the Reality Reading Rainbow. So join it. Join it. Yeah, come and join us. And also, I am always open to book suggestions. If you would like to suggest books, you can email me at therealityreadingrainbow@gmail.com. therealityreadingrainbow@gmail.com. And I think that's everything. So, on with the show. Bye. Well, hello everybody. It is your favorite day of the week. Another day of a lifetime of Hallmark. I am Les Kirkendall Barrett. Hello, Jason Bowers.
Hello, Les Kirkendall Barrett.
And hello, Kurt Fitzpatrick.
Hello, Les Kirkendall Barrett, and hello, Jason Bowers.
We take movies from both Lifetime and the Hallmark Channel and try to make sense of them.
We're not very successful, though, because they don't often make sense, but they are fun to watch.
And we go down all kinds of rabbit holes. We talk about Angelian quite a bit. We talk about the show Enos.
June Squibb. We are Team June Squibb all the way.
And we have Black China news every single episode.
So with that in mind, why don't you listen to a lifetime of Hallmark? You can listen wherever you get your favorite podcasts. I've started Shep's book, and it is called Average Expectations, Lessons in Lowering the Bar. So I started the book. I got through the introduction and the first chapter. And so far, okay, verdict's still out on this book, but I gotta tell you, the writing actually, it wasn't bad. And I believe he wrote it himself without a ghostwriter. So, but, like I said, verdict's still out. I've only done the introduction and the first chapter. So, we shall see how this turns out. Anywho, all right, so Shep starts out the book with Shakespeare quotes. He does a Shakespeare quote, and then he does a quote from Calvin and Hobbes. Then he goes into talking about how writing requires discipline. And he described his life as happy and lazy and living in Shepland. The concept of Shepland was made up by a guy who he used to deliver pizzas for when he was a kid, which, that shocked me that Shep actually had a job delivering pizzas, because, and I know you're not supposed to make assumptions, but I did assume that he was this trust fund kid who, probably didn't have to work. So I was very surprised when I found out this little tidbit. Yes, Shep delivered pizzas. He then goes on to talk about how, how he says, you got it made when people know your name and they call you an asshole on social media. And so he feels by these two things, he knows that he's made it. And then he describes himself as the Daniel Day-Lewis of reality TV. So there you go. Oh, and he explained it because Daniel Day-Lewis puts himself into all of his roles, and Shep says he is being himself on reality television. So that's what makes him the Daniel Day-Lewis of reality television. Okay, Shep. Whatever you say. All right. Anyway, so he says that he had a good education for someone who strives for mediocrity. Now, I'm going to go... So, as a black person reading this book, I got to tell you, it must be nice to have the luxury of striving for mediocrity. Because as a person of color, I never had the luxury of striving for mediocrity. I had to work better, harder, and faster for less. And I'm not, I don't have a chip on my shoulder or anything like that. But at the same time, it's just this glorification of, living a half-assed life. I just find that interesting. So he then goes on to say, then goes on to talk about how he never had any aspirations to be on television. He says, as a matter of fact, if you were in the South, coming from the South, if you told people in the South that you wanted to have a career in Hollywood, they would have laughed you off of the porch. He then goes in to talk about how he is from a long line of successful people. He says that being average isn't so bad. Once again, I don't have, as a person of color, I don't have the luxury of aspiring to be average. Just saying. So he then goes on to say that in school he was a straight B student. He wasn't an A student, he was a straight B student. He then says he either has ADD or ADHD. He doesn't remember which one, but he says he has one of them. He says that when he was a kid, he had to take a behavioral test by child psychologists. And he said that the psychologists were blown away because he took the test and laid under the table and took the test while laying under the table. And they were blown away by that. Let me be honest with you. That doesn't sound like anything spectacular. But hey, whatever floats your boat. Anyway, so he then says how he then talks about how he was prescribed Ritalin as a kid. And he said that he hated what Ritalin turned him into. He said that Ritalin robbed him of his charisma and his appetite. Now, we're talking a child here, but, I guess kids have charisma too. And so he said he stopped taking it. So then he starts talking about a lot of his childhood shenanigans. He then went in to how he liked the cartoon Calvin and Hobbes, and he says that Calvin and Hobbes taught him life lesson. So then he talks about the potential titles of this book. And he said that he came up with average expectations. That he says it's a double entendre, all right? So then he talks about how he is from a long line of very acclaimed people. And don't worry, he gives us a list, so sit back. So he says that he then describes himself as a booze hound and an international Lothario. All right, Shep. And he says that he never thought about his family name, and he never banked on his family name. He says a lot of people use it as currency, but he did not. Because he says that he feels that family names and, like, you know, old family names and family names are silly and shallow. So then he goes into his family tree. So on his mother's side, he had a relative named Columbus Cummings. He was in the dry goods business. He opened up a dry goods store. He then developed he was one of the creators or developers of the town Pekin, Illinois. He helped create that town. He then built the Nickel Plate Railroad, and he sold the company to the Vanderbilts. I believe that was his great-grandfather. Yeah, it was his great-grandfather. So then he had an aunt named Edith Cummings. She was a socialite, and she was the top amateur golfer in the Jazz Age. Now, she was the first female athlete to be on the cover of Time magazine, and actually he says that if you've ever read the book The Great Gatsby, that character Jordan Baker in The Great Gatsby it's said that is based on his aunt. So then he says that his grandfather, Truman Hobbes, fought in World War II. He earned the Bronze Star. He then went to Yale Law School and became a clerk at the Supreme Court. And then he was a judge in Alabama for 30 years. So he says that, so his grandfather went to World War II, and when his grandfather was on his way back from World War II, he was on a train. He met a woman who had a baby. She had a baby, and he wanted to play a practical joke on his parents. So he got the woman to walk off of the train with him and approach his mom and dad, and he pretended that woman was his wife and this was their baby. Okay. All right. A lot of yucks there. So then he says that he had a very touching moment with his grandfather once, because his grandfather was doing a crossword puzzle. And his grandfather asked him his grandfather was doing a crossword puzzle, and his grandfather asked him, what is a 4-letter word for paradise? And Shep told him home. Now, the answer was Eden, but it touched his grandfather that Shep had such a good life that he thought of home as paradise. All right, so now, on his dad's side, there's a town, Boynton, that's named after his family. There's a dog named after his family, the Boynton Spaniel. It's a dog of South Carolina. His grandfather, Bill Rose, fought under General Patton, and he helped win the Battle of the Bulge. So then he goes on to tell this story about how he had this uncle, this quirky uncle, and this uncle was so quirky that he needed help plowing the field, and so he went out and bought an elephant from a circus. And when the elephant was delivered to the town, the people were just so shook that they created a law that says no elephants allowed to be delivered to the train station on Saturdays. And that law is still in the books. The elephant ended up not working out, so they kept the elephant as a pet, but then they ended up giving the elephant back to the circus. So Shep then goes in to talk about how he approves of Southern traditions. Like, he says, he believes that you should never ask a woman her age. You should never ask a woman if she's pregnant. You should always hold the door open for a woman. He then goes in to tell us how he feels that Florida and Texas is not the South. He then says that you should be able to call everyone honey or darling as long as it's initiated by the woman. He says as long as the woman initiates it, then it's fine to call her honey and darling. And he then says that you should always stand when a lady comes to the table. And you should always help a lady with a coat. And you should say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am to the elderly. And last but not least, you should take cotillion dance classes. And I'm going to be honest with you. When I heard him say you should take cotillion dance classes, because that's where he learned how to do the foxtrot, I was kind of done with the book for today. I was just kind of like, no, I've had enough. So I will pick up the book again tomorrow and I will continue reading. But that's all I have from Shep's book for today. Well, hello, everybody. It is your favorite day of the week. It is time for another episode of the Reality Reading Rainbow, where I talk about books written by reality stars, especially those from Bravo, and try to make sense of them. I also do interviews. And today is one of my favorite people. I always love having him on the Reality Reading Rainbow. Without further ado, let's welcome Andrew from Andrew's Lifestyle. Hey, Andrew.
Hey, Les. It is so great to be back on. I've missed you so much, even though we're doing our Clubhouse thing now. I miss being on the show sometimes.
Yeah, this is the cool thing. So, you guys have heard me talk about Clubhouse and how much I love Clubhouse. Well, through Club Bravo on Clubhouse, I actually now moderate a room with Jessica O'Reilly, and it's called the Bravo Detective Agency, where we go and do deep dives on various Bravo celebrities, and we now have a third moderator, the one and only Andrew from Andrew's Lifestyle.
I am so excited. Oh my goodness. If you're hearing this in the future, I am so sorry, which the majority probably will be. But we're doing a fantastic episode tonight on Sonia Morgan, so we've got a lot of stuff to talk about on there. But
yeah. And it was so funny because Andrew, actually, you came on as just like, a guest, because I was like, I'm moderating this room, Andrew. I need some scoop. I know that you won't let me down. And you did such an impressive job that by the end of the Clubhouse, I was like, he needs to be on full time. He needs to be on full time. And
we were
ask you to moderate.
We were talking about tax liens, and I was thinking, oh, who's the queen of tax liens? And then I was thinking Sonia Morgan, and then I was like, oh, I have her divorce papers. Like, oh, the world just works in beautiful ways.
So I was like, by the end of that, I was like, okay, Andrew, do you want to be a moderator with us? And, and to be honest, I'm going to take credit because I'm the one that sent you the Clubhouse invite, patting myself on the back. But I was surprised that you weren't a part of it already. Was it just not on your radar, or what?
It was on my radar. It was just, I thought it was meant, okay, so my dad works in like politics, and I really thought it was meant for people like my dad, who just works in politics and finance, and they're talking about like, it's like a networking, like cocktail hour kind of app. That's what I thought it was. And then when you were on it and talking about like there's a whole Bravo world, I was like, okay, maybe I'll give it a try.
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing is, what I love about it is there's everything. You can talk about anything, literally.
Yeah. It's incredible. Like, you can just start a room and it's just like you're talking to your friends, that's cool too. But yes, yeah. I think, if you don't mind, I think we are going to have to start talking about the Housewives. There's the biggest thing on the table. And I think it is the Beverly Hills trailer and Andy Cohen's reaction to fans' reaction to the trailer, which I think Andy to me kind of was just like pissed about it. Like, I've never seen Andy like this visibly angry in a response to like a publication. He was just like, he's fed up with the whole trailer thing.
Right.
Because fans keep saying once one's released, they want the next one, and that just doesn't happen like that. So he's just like, you could hear his anger coming through in the article. It was a very poignant tone. But yes, on the Beverly Hills trailer, there were some things that we have to discuss. I think key in point, one character named Erica Girardi.
Right. Because basically, for those of you who don't know, Erica Jane, aka Erica Girardi's husband, is in a lot of trouble for allegedly basically ripping off his clients. She may or may not know about it. That's all alleged as well. It's not looking good for her. And so a lot of the trailer was focusing on the other women asking her, did you know?
Yeah. And I think,
what was your take? What was your take on it?
Well, one thing that I find when like Kim and I thought Andy, he saw that people were getting bad. He saw we were all getting mad at like the Denise and Brandy storyline. We were all just kind of like, who cares? Then I think he brought Kathy Hilton on just to try to like create some family drama between the Richards sisters. But then I think we see this starts to backfire spectacularly with the Erica thing, because we see in the trailer Kyle tries to stay relevant with the house thing and like how Kim's got a new cell phone number, which like I was just so over that. And I think it was weird to include it because I'm sure there's going to be so much of this season that had to be edited out. Why didn't we edit out that moment? We can pick and choose our battles, but why that one, you know?
Right. So now what did you get from this trailer? What was your takeaway?
Erica has had a lawyer's advice, obviously, on what she can and cannot say. And, you know, we live in a country where you're innocent until proven guilty. And I think that's what we have to remember right now.
Right.
That she is innocent until proven guilty. We might think, and that's very important with Jen Shaw, too. No matter how much of you dislike her or like her, she is innocent until she's proven guilty in the court of law. So I think Erica has been advised just to say, oh, I knew nothing, but clearly she knew something, and she definitely knew more than what she's letting on right now in this trailer, it looks like.
Right. Now, do you think they're gonna go for like the sympathy edit, or what do you think that the producers are gonna try to do with it?
The producers made Erica look like she was going off the rails. Like this was the beginning of her mental breakdown. This was the beginning of her Britney Spears moment. Like, this is, I think that they're like, this is what we're going to paint her as. And I kind of like that, because I think Erica, she definitely behaved psychotic behavior in this trailer.
Mm-hmm. How so?
With the fight with Sutton, and she's like, where she keeps dropping F-bombs and like, or what, and then Sutton just goes, or nothing. Like, Erica's like this ice person who's like melting, and like, it was just so, like, what did Sutton say to get you that angry, Erica? Like, I could get physical, I could get getting physical. I could see, I mean, I'm not defending that, but I could never see Erica getting physical, but I could see how she could handle it physically over being so cruel verbally to Sutton. Like, I'm at a loss for words with that.
Well, I get the feeling that Sutton is going to get the villain edit, but obviously Sutton did really well this season with whatever she brought, because she got a promotion. She now is holding a diamond. Yeah.
Well, if you remember correctly, she was supposed to hold a diamond last season. But her ex-husband said, I don't want that, because he didn't want the kids on the show.
Right. So do you know if he changed his mind?
I think Sutton took control a little bit.
But, so my thought was, because I knew the same thing, but my thought was, if he didn't agree to allow the kids to be on camera, this means, because we don't know, but if he didn't, this means that Sutton really, really must have brought it this season.
Exactly. I think so too, and I think she was the most heavily featured person who kind of stood out to me in the trailer. But, I mean, I came in expecting to watch Erica, like, and this is, okay, I'm going to be honest. The Rahoney trailer and the Beverly Hills trailer, they all come out about the same time within 4 weeks of each other. Like, you know, and I watched the Rahoney trailer maybe like 2 times. Like, I like it. I love the Real Housewives of New York City. It's, again, one of my favorite franchises, but I just didn't see myself really watching the trailer again. But Beverly Hills, and how many days it's been out, I've watched it countless times, because it's like, it's captivating. It's like watching a train wreck. And I think Sutton just really stood out to me, so I just, yeah.
And we were talking on Clubhouse before, and I was in this Clubhouse group, and we basically came to the conclusion that, you know, between Sutton and Erica, Sutton has her own money. Sutton has a lot of money. Sutton has nothing to lose. She has nothing to lose. So she could just do or say whatever she wants, because she doesn't need this job. Like, if this was to end for her, she's fine.
This is like, I bet you she's thinking of this as just like, well, I have a friend in New York City who like works in like PR.
Mm-hmm.
It's a family friend, and he just did this thing about talking about how like people can buy fame. People with a lot of money, they're not famous, and people who are famous aren't necessarily have a lot of money. So it's interesting, and I think Sutton was trying to buy herself a little bit of fame with being on the show, if that makes sense. Because I think they obviously look for women who are in Beverly Hills who are extremely wealthy, and I think after the whole Dorit scandal where Dorit has, she has a lawsuit coming out every now and then against her husband and how they're basically broke. They moved from house to house. The Bentley went up, the Bentley was repoed. Like, I think Bravo wanted to go with a safe bet. And I think we saw that with the latest casting choices with Crystal Kong Minkoff, Kathy Hilton, and of course Sutton, because they just wanted I think, safety with who they were casting monetarily wise. I hope in Beverly Hills, and I think Sutton was picked just to be like, okay, here's your cash. You don't really need the money, but let's just promote you. We'll just promote you, and it's kind of like a change of balance. Right. And I think Sutton was just kind of looking for fame. Bravo was looking for someone who had money, who had a cash securance. Let me just say that. Sorry, that rambled a little bit. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. And I like Sutton. I'm a Sutton fan, actually. And I really like her.
Me too.
And even like last season when she was just a friend of, I liked her, and she brought stuff to the show. She actually, she showed up, and she was interesting to watch, I thought.
She was absolutely interesting to watch. And the fact that Teddy Mellencamp held a diamond while Sutton didn't that season, and I know because it was originally planned for Teddy to be a friend of the show last season, and for Sutton to be a housewife, right. which and I totally see that, but the fact that like they just didn't have two friends, like that just annoys me. But I missed that. Last season was hard to watch.
Because
Sutton made it bearable.
And I look at this way, Sutton is kind of, how like Marlo is on The Real Housewives of Atlanta, where Marlo is a friend of, but she brings it just as much as the regulars, like the peach holders do. I think the same thing about Sutton. Sutton's a friend of, but she's kind of like the Marlo, or she was the Marlo of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, because she did just as much as the diamond holders did. Or in Teddy's case, she did more than Teddy did.
Oh God, Teddy, all she did was just sit there, and she was like, I don't care if you guys come to my all-in retreat. I have a theory. The only reason they didn't fire Teddy right then and there is so that they could get a vacation retreat out of those girls. That's my sole reason for Teddy Mellencamp being on season 10. Not the Denise thing, but just for the free cast trip. That's all I can come up with.
And you know what? And I think Teddy Mellencamp may have signed a new publicist or something. And the reason I'm saying this is because for the past few months, she has been popping up in Us magazine for different things. And it's like, we don't care. We don't care. She wasn't interesting when she was on TV. What makes you think that she's going to be interesting in print?
Well, I mean, honestly, and I hate to say this, but okay, her husband is best friends, and I don't mean this lightly, with a literal criminal, with the most notorious white collar criminal in the world, Jordan Belfort.
Allegedly.
Oh no, not allegedly. Oh wait, I might have to say, he went on his podcast too, they have hung out, you're friends with the real Wolf of Wall Street, that's, ooh.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I can't, you gotta trust someone's character judgment right there.
Right.
Yeah.
So what were other takeaways from the trailer, from the Beverly Hills trailer?
Yeah, I think Crystal and her ugly leather pants, I'm really excited for. I'm really excited for that. And I'm hoping to see that, the Asian heritage is accepted more on Beverly Hills than it was on Dallas, if you know what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean. And I agree. Because I do not like the way that Tiffany was treated this season on Dallas. It was not a good look. It actually made me, like, right now, the only reason I am continuing to finish out watching it this season is because I like Tiffany. And I want to see Tiffany at the end of the day. I want to ride it out to see if she succeeds this season, which, you know, she's a popular housewife, but I just want to see it through. But I don't like how they're treating her at all.
Exactly. And I mean, at the end of the day, we're talking about housewives who really don't need this job, and I'm sorry, Tiffany really does not need this job.
Right.
No.
And it looks like neither does Crystal, right?
Neither does Crystal. Definitely neither does Crystal. Not at all Crystal. I'm really excited because I feel like with some housewives, even though we love them, like, I'm sorry, Ramona needs this job. And we're going to be talking about this more tonight, why Ramona needs this job and why Ramona's still friends with Sonia. We're going to be talking about that later tonight.
Wait, I just got, like, chilled. I'm very excited.
I know. It's the fact that Ramona and Sonia friendship, it's completely transactional. Sorry, I don't want to give too much away, but,
okay.
Yeah. And, where was that? How, like, Ramona needs this job. Like, Ramona's like, I'm here, like, and it's very obvious she still needs the job, but I'm looking for housewives who just don't need the job, you know? I think we like that as viewership. It's a word in reality television that's not used all the time. Honesty.
Right.
Yeah.
So, if we have talked about Beverly Hills enough, you mentioned something to me that you wanted to talk about, and I agree with Nashville, like the whole Nashville thing.
Well, first of all, it is not going to be on Bravo. One, can I tell you? So there's a couple things we need to know about Bravo. Bravo does not have the money to start up a brand new Housewives franchise right now. Even though, because a lot of people were saying we're in like another 2010. Like, do you remember in 2010 we had like Beverly Hills, New Jersey. There was DC was that year. Like there were 3 all new franchises in like 1 year. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
All right. People were saying how like we were getting ready to go through that right now with Salt Lake City and possibly Nashville. So Bravo, unfortunately, just doesn't have the money, especially being optioned to be sold by NBC right now, to be sold by Comcast,
right? Which
is really sad. And how they're going to be, apparently, E and Bravo will be sold together in like an entertainment bundle pack and like a reality bundle package to like the people who own E, to like not E, sorry, TLC, like the Discovery Network, is what is being alleged. Yeah.
Whoa.
So that Discovery will have a whole, like a captive, like a huge hold on the reality television sector. But that's all alleged, you know.
Well, you know, it's alleged, but it kind of tracks in a sense because I have the Discovery Network, and Oprah, or the Discovery, like the screening, and like Oprah's channel is on there.
Yeah.
So that actually, it tracks. That does track.
And it would make sense.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, especially, E, this is the last season of the Kardashians, and I'm sorry, that was the only thing keeping E alive for so long. After Joan Rivers, and unfortunately when Fashion Police went, I'm not a Kardashian fan. I think, there's not a part of me that longs to watch, you know, my brain cells die. I'm so sorry if anyone here likes the Kardashians. I have no shame towards you, no ill will to you, but just watching the Kardashians to me would just be bad. So I think E was just hanging on by the Kardashian thread, and now that thread is being ripped out and placed on Hulu.
Mm-hmm.
Which the fact
it's so funny. I am proud to say I never watched one episode of the Kardashians. Never. Not
again.
one.
You escaped the plague. You escaped the plague. Yeah.
It never appealed to me. I never found them interesting. So I just never watched it.
But yeah, I think, So, with the Nashville thing, I believe it's going to be placed on CMT or the Country Music Network.
Right.
Or country music, because first of all, that would be, we have Jason Aldean's wife on there, and if for anybody who doesn't know country music, Jason Aldean is this huge country singer. Again, not my personal type. I mean, I do like country music, but like, he's just not my kind of guy. So, his wife's going to be on there, a couple other people, but it would definitely make sense because, and I also researched, because people originally said it was going to be on E, which that wouldn't make sense to get, but Jason Aldean does have a contract with CMT,
right?
Which I did some digging on, and he has a contract with them, which also by extension his wife does too. So I just connected the dots right there and just determined if this is an actual show, it will be on CMT.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and if Bravo will be doing another franchise, this is alleged, but wink, wink. There are casting scouts right now in Chicago,
which I would love, and I have been saying for years that there needs to be a Real Housewives of Chicago. Okay. I've been saying that for years. This is my dream cast for Real Housewives of Chicago. I'm going to be honest. I want some of the old money Chicago society. I want people who the majority of the wealth was formed by the railroads or the oil, or I'm looking for that. I'm looking not for knickerbockers, but I'm looking for just like turn of the century new wealth. And then I want a 23-year-old trophy wife on the show, trying to climb the ranks in society, because if that would be an amazing show to watch, you can't tell me it wouldn't be. And in Chicago, and I personally, Chicago is like one of my favorite cities. And whenever, I work out of the Midwest a lot, and I always make it a point to spend a couple of days in Chicago, whether or not I have something going on there, just because I love the city so much. And it's a fun city. So I could totally get behind there being a franchise. Yes, and now I get asked all the time, why won't the Real Housewives ever go to Greenwich, Connecticut, or Newport, Rhode Island, or Philadelphia? And I have finally figured out, and I had to do some digging, but apparently the DAR, which is, if you guys aren't familiar with this, the Daughters of the American Revolution, I've done some work with them, they have a clause for their members. Uh-huh. Their members can't do reality television in some chapters. I don't know if anyone's chapter is different. Again, if anyone's a member of the DAR and who's listening, but please do correct me. But for some chapters, there's actually a reality show clause that you'll be kicked out of the DAR. Wow. And that's interesting. It makes sense, but that just explains why they've never gone to like a town's more colonial roots like Philadelphia. Right. And then also, I've always been from the school of if it's real wealth, like old generational wealth, they really don't want to do something like this because, it would seem tacky. That was my take. That's my thought on that. Exactly. And that's why I'm so upset that Miami is canceled. That might be a generalization about Miami, but it's just, I'm so glad it's coming back because I'm sorry, the Miami Housewives are perfect. Right. You got new money and people who want to show it off. It's the perfect, it was the perfect place to go, and the fact that it was one of the two that have been canceled made me sad. And P.S., Wendy Williams was lobbying to be a friend of. So I know. I hope that happens. If that happens, the thing is, I would like to do a Wendy Williams medley in any public space. If anybody would like to join me, we will be singing her Native New Yorker song, as well as recreating her most iconic moments. If anybody would like to join me, please let me know so I don't look like an idiot sitting on a stage singing You're a Native New Yorker in my Wendy Williams accent. And it was she made a great case because Andy Cohen was on her. Was it Andy Cohen on her show, or was she on Watch What Happens Live? It was some
She was
show.
on Watch, yeah.
Okay, because I remember she made a case for it, and she made a good case. You know, she's like, I don't want to be heavily, I don't want to be heavily featured. I'll show up. I'll go to the party scenes. I'll go there on the weekends, and then I'm done. And I'm like, oh my God, that would be perfect.
That would be so perfect. Like, I mean, we would have so many more iconic Wendy Williams moments. And you know what? I'm sorry. I'm one of those people that I do take Wendy every day, and I do watch it.
I do
one
too.
of those people. I do. I watch
her.
it. I am. I got the Wendy mug. I'm definitely one of those people. Yeah. I so see Wendy being on there too. Because Wendy, she's captivating. I do have to admit that. Now, Les, did you watch the movie?
Oh God, yeah. Oh, for sure.
No.
Oh yeah.
That there's just such an aura about Lifetime movies that you just love. You can't help but just love.
Well, I have a whole other podcast, Lifetime of Hallmark, where I do that exact thing. You know, my co-host and I talk about movies on Lifetime and the Hallmark Channel. So I watch Lifetime movies on a regular basis.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh, there's this. Yeah, they're just fantastic. But also there's one thing. Oh my goodness, I want to see if I can remember it. I need to start writing things down. But let me know I'll see if it comes back to me. But we talked a little bit about Jen Shaw. Did you see that Jen Shaw might be fired?
See, I haven't heard that, but I'm on the West Coast, so you guys get news before I do. I don't agree with that. And what do you think?
Well, okay, it depends on, I don't know if Jen signed a morals clause or morality clause.
Mm-hmm.
Which, and again, because I don't know, because it's not like a normal show. Well, I can't say nothing about these shows are normal. There's nothing about like a show that's like the same as another one. But she definitely has a season 2 contract.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, as we know this, the cameras are rolling on this, and this will definitely captivate Salt Lake City.
Right.
Now, the problem is we're going to get Salt Lake City later than expected. Because whenever something like this happens, they end up getting rid of the footage.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're just like, they're just kind of like, they get rid of the footage and then they have to restart and pick up and they're going to extend the footage.
Why did they get rid of the footage?
Because, so at the beginning, they were about halfway through filming. They were probably going to get rid of about 1/4 of the footage to try to move the drama up forward.
To ratchet it up. Okay, that makes sense.
And so they can capture more of it after Jen. So I think it's more expensive to do something like this, and I think for how little money Salt Lake City has made them, But
here's the deal, though. If they get rid of her, that would be dumb because this whole incident is going to make them more money than ever. I mean, the Jen Shaw case, her arrest was on CNN. I saw it on CNN.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I met someone from Utah and I was like, oh, do you watch the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City? And I was like, and they were like, no, did you hear about Jen Shaw's arrest? And they were like, yes, we did. Like in Utah, people who didn't watch it are gonna watch it this season. And I'm sorry, Utah might not be that big of a state, but more watchers are still more watchers. You know?
Right, and no, it's made the legitimate national news. And even I know people who have never watched a Housewives show, but they know about the Jen Shaw stuff.
Yeah.
So, and think of it this way. I would rather than not fire her because she might end up leaving the show anyway, if you know what I mean.
No,
to go to prison.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. So do you remember that short-lived little reality when New Jersey went on the hiatus and then they had the Teresa Checks In show?
Yes.
Okay. Now, they didn't prolong New Jersey because Teresa carried it on her back. They ended up prolonging they ended up taking a 6-month hiatus on New Jersey, on New Jersey because the Melissa Gorga drama by herself, they can't do the show by themselves. Now, which brings up a very interesting point because Caroline said she's not going to come back to the show if Teresa's on.
Right.
And Teresa won't come back if Caroline's on. Now, I have a feeling...
Now, do you think so? Because didn't they shoot a commercial recently or something?
Savra Super Bowl commercial.
Yeah.
There's one thing both of those women like more than anything, and that's money, and I think that's why they did it.
Ah.
Because if you remember, Andy confronted her about at the reunion about it, and they were just like, "Oh, you did a commercial with Caroline Manzo," and she was like, "Yeah, we got in, we got out. Like that's what we did." Which
oh no, go ahead.
No, some people say because of that, once Teresa's off the show, Melissa's going to go too. Like they're not going to keep them. But if they still have the same cast right now, Caroline and her daughter, Lauren, will come on the show. Lauren will be a full-time housewife.
See, here's the deal, though. I personally think that you can't have Caroline without Teresa because, I mean, Caroline tried it with Manzo. Remember she had her own show? And I didn't find that show.
Children.
I didn't find that show that interesting.
No, because if we think about it, Caroline, she has very iconic moments on Bravo. But if you think about all of them, they were on New Jersey, not Manzo with Children. So.
Right. And, yeah, Caroline, her son Albie is very cute, but, I think with New Jersey, you can have Teresa without you can have Teresa without Caroline, obviously, but then but that is because of the Melissa drama. Yeah. But you can't have Caroline without Teresa, I think.
I absolutely agree with you on that, and I think if Caroline comes back, I think we would also need Beverly back too.
Danielle.
For
those of you who are listening who don't know, Beverly is Danielle Staub's birth name.
I want to see Danielle Staub back on our television screens, and it made me so sad when she was fired.
She's a lot, though.
She's a lot, though, but she kind of resurrected New Jersey, in my opinion, when she came back.
Mm-hmm.
Because keep in mind, we still have season 6 in New Jersey. We had just come off Teresa being gone, and we had she came back with as well as Marge and Jackie.
Right.
So and it just kind of brought a new fresh wave to New Jersey, and we had just saw Danielle again, which last time we saw her, she was getting tables flipped at her. She was running off their union, causing Teresa to push Andy. And then we saw her in this, I've got a new face, I've got new faces, I got a new boyfriend,
And the thing is, so I remember the season before Teresa went to prison. I remember that last season for me was a horrible season. I just didn't like it. That was when you had the twins, Amber, and whole thing. Oh, what were you going to say about Amber?
I believe the whole Bravo world just can unanimously agree that we just all kind of hate her.
And her husband.
Oh, her husband I hate so much. Okay. That, Bravo, and the funniest part was, they tried to sue Bravo.
Oh, Amber and her husband?
Yeah. Yeah. The smart legal minds that they were thought that they could sue Bravo.
Mm-hmm.
Which obviously, if they can't at all, because they basically, when you sign that contract, you sign your rights away.
Right, exactly. That I know.
That's what those contracts are. You were selling your soul to that network, and when you try to go up against Bravo, or a network in the situation, there was nothing that Bravo did wrong that they were trying to blame.
Why were they trying to sue them, though?
They were trying to sue them for defamation.
Well, it's There's something that Heather from the real world said years ago, which stands true to this day. They use what you give them. So if you are giving them jerky behavior, they're going to show your jerky behavior, you know?
Yeah. And you're responsible for everything you say on Twitter. I'm sorry. Once you're off the reality television show, you can blame editing all you want. But when your behavior on Twitter, a great example of that is Candace. Who, did you see the new show she's in on Netflix?
No.
Save yourself the trouble. Save yourself the trouble. Don't even watch it. Kenya and Brandy Glanville's in there too. Kenya Moore and Brandy Glanville. It's something like not Reunited. I forget the name of it, but I've seen it everywhere. I saw about 10 minutes of it, and then I just had to turn it off because I had better things to do with my life than watch Brandy Glanville play a sugar baby.
But see, the thing is, though, you had me at Kenya Moore and Brandy Glanville on the same screen. I might have to watch this just because.
It's watching a train wreck. Candace plays like this French girl, from what I can tell.
What? Wait, what is this? What is this called?
It's on Netflix. I'll have to look it up. But like,
I'm googling this right now.
Yeah, and like Brandy Glanville's in it too, and she's playing like the sugar baby, and Kenya Moore's doing something, I forget, but like it's at first I thought it was a documentary about their lives, but no. I am
continue to vamp for a second. I am Googling this right now.
Yes, and then but yeah, so Candace is a mess on Twitter, and I think so was Amber and her husband. Like, Amber, in kicking your son out because he was gay and not paying for college and then calling the GoFundMe he made for college a lie.
Oh my God, you're right. Okay, Candace Dillard I just found an article. Yeah, it's called Family Reunion. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, so for your viewing pleasure.
Because Kenya Moore, Brandy, and then Tia from oh my God,
sister, yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
I might have to watch it just because now.
Yeah. So I think Amber and her husband, this is like years ago. This is like ice cold tea now, but like her and her husband, they were just like so awful to their son.
Yeah,
like,
that I knew.
And then Bravo, and then Andy, and now Bravo can say whatever they want. They are never coming back on that network at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm trying. So let's circle back to Jen Shaw for a second.
Okay.
How do you think the cast is going to react? Like, I've seen Amy Phillips do an impression of Whitney when she found out, that I think is hysterical and very accurate.
I don't think so. You know how on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, I have a feeling it's going to be very polarizing, and some of the women are going to support Erica and some are not. I think on Salt Lake City, I don't think that it's going to be polarizing. I think my prediction is that all of the women are going to side against her. That's my prediction.
Oh, I think so completely too, because if you look, right, I looked on Instagram yesterday because I wanted to know, Jen has unfollowed Heather, on Instagram. And I'm sorry, that is are you trying to have the drama circle? No, I don't think that's true. I think that was kind of plotted to try to get, if Jen Shaw's name was in the news, it wouldn't be talking about her arrest, it would be talking about the fact that she unfriended Heather on Instagram. So I don't think there's anything to read into that, but I think all the women are just going to kind of be like, Jen, you're an awful person, and we all hope you go to jail.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Well, listen, Andrew, we decided to make this a short podcast since we are doing Clubhouse in a matter of hours.
Yes, we are. We're doing it before New Jersey too, which is great.
So Andrew, how would the listeners find you?
Well, if you guys are on Clubhouse, it's Andrew's Lifestyle on Clubhouse. It's Andrew's Lifestyle on Andrew's Lifestyle on YouTube, and as well as Andrew's Lifestyle _RH on Instagram. I'm not as active on Instagram as I used to be, but I always have a link to my YouTube channel, and I sometimes talk about hot topics. I've just come back from vacation, so we've got some new videos lined up.
Great. And, of course, check us out Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time for the Bravo Detective Agency. And Andrew is one of our detectives, and he does great work.
Oh, my goodness. We should just start a detective agency. Like, we have an actual one that's, like, for people that want to come in and talk about Bravo. We have a little desk, and we have Sherlock Holmes hats.
Right.
Oh, my.
Right.
We need to get Sherlock Holmes hats. Oh, give me a second. I'll be ordering them for all of us.
Anyway, Andrew, it's always great to have you here. And everybody else, keep reading. Bye.
Bye.